Hello YouTube world. Tonight I'd like to talk about, I would say today rather, I'd like to talk about immigration and gun laws. Now the big issue here lately what I've seen is gun laws and immigration laws. But I have an idea, and a lot of my friends talked about even some high-ranking politicians. One of them was running for president of the United States originally, but unfortunately she dropped out. I think it was Fiona, I think something like that. I pronounced her name right, but I apologize. But she said it best as far as gun laws: enforce the gun laws you have now. If we just enforce the current gun laws we have now, everything will be okay. Talk about loopholes and stuff like that, and gun shows, stuff like that. But as it stands right now, there's already background checks. Every state in the United States, when you purchase a firearm, you need a state-issued picture ID, preferably a driver's license, and probably another form of ID, like a credit card, something like that. And they'll do a background check through your social security number through the FBI database. And as long as you're not a convicted felony, any mental health issues, or any domestic battery charges going on against you, you can purchase a firearm. Some states has a waiting period of 3 to 7 days, something like that. Or some you can walk out that with a gun firearm that very day, as long as your background checks out. So therefore, we already have background checks with every firearm purchased within the United States. Now, I know some people, like Obama and a lot of the liberals, wants to tighten up gun control laws, but I believe the gun control laws we got work just fine. California has the strictest gun laws in the United States. We'll look at what happened to them here recently. I've already talked about that, I don't want to go on too much detail, but let's go to immigration law. Now, the immigration laws has been on the books for years, but the problem is nobody's enforcing them because big corporations in the United States likes cheap labor. Now, I'm not mentioning names, but I talked to a lot of my friends who used to work along the border as customs agents. They worked on the border, checking vehicles, searching vehicles as they come in the United States from Mexico. And 9 times out of 10, technically they're not authorized to go to the United States, or they have a temporary visa, but have all their worldly belongings with them, knowing damn good and well to go to the United States to live illegally. They go to their bosses and they say, let them on it. Because right now, as it stands in the United States, a lot of times, the immigration laws we have now is not being enforced. If we just enforce our current immigration laws, we'll be okay. But the problem lies in, especially in the agriculture department of the United States, agricultural corporation, I would say, love those illegal immigrants coming to the United States because they work for cheap. And you can't track them, no taxes taken out, and they have no problem working for $2 or $3 an hour or on less, maybe a little bit above. But they work cheap, and we all know big corporations likes cheap labor. That's why a lot of times our current immigration laws are not being enforced in the United States like we should. If we just enforce, I would say, the gun laws and immigration laws, we'll be a lot better off today. But the biggest problem is big corporations don't want to give up that cheap labor and that money they get out of that cheap labor. That's what's going on in the United States right now. Let me tell you something about laws, okay? I've been in the law enforcement, the sword in law enforcement long enough to realize this. When the law is passed, that law is about useless unless somebody enforces it. The law has to be enforced for the law to become useful. If you don't enforce laws, the law is just a piece of paper. It's just useless. And if you ever open up law books like I have, I'm not a lawyer by no means. I don't know every damn law there is in the United States. Nobody can, I don't think. From the federal level and down to the state level, there is a lot of laws on the books. And you'd be surprised how many laws are not being enforced no more. So therefore, all those laws on those books technically are useless because they're not being enforced. Let me tell you something. If you like a company, if the company makes a company policy, I say company rule, unless the supervisors don't enforce that rule becomes useless because nobody is enforcing the rule. So rather the law be useful to help people, which the laws tend to do, to help people and make communities safer and everything else, if the laws are not enforced, then our communities are not safe. That's why we have law enforcement officials. That's why we have police from the state, from the federal to the city, I would say, the county side of it. That's why we have jails for people who break the laws. But the laws are not handled properly, enforced properly, and people who break those laws are not sentenced properly, then the law is about worthless. You can pass a million quadrillion laws on one thing, on immigration, guns, drugs, whatever have you, but unless those laws are being enforced, being implemented, being enforced, and set proper fines and proper prison terms for those laws, then the laws are just about useless. So I would say this, as far as gun laws and immigration laws, enforce the laws we have now. I heard people even doubt things being exported back to Mexico. They keep coming back. And they keep letting them come back. And we understand San Francisco passed some kind of city ordinance that illegal immigrants can be imported out of San Francisco. And I said good luck with that. But as long as we keep letting it happen, let illegals come to the United States illegally and don't force the immigration laws, we'll continue to have this problem. You know, I have a Russian wife, a Russian daughter and granddaughter, but I bought in the United States legally. I did all the paperwork and everything legally. Went to the U.S. consulate, used the UCIS, all that stuff. Did it legally and justly. Green cards and all. So I didn't do it illegally. But a lot of people come to the United States illegally and yet still become citizens because the laws are not being enforced. So rather for the law to be useful, it has to be enforced. Plain and simple. When you make a rule, you have to enforce the rule. Like school rules. For the school rules to work, they have to be enforced. If the teacher and the principals don't enforce the school rules, then the rules is about useless, and the rules are there in place for a reason. Now, before I cut this off, I'm in a mass grave, I would say, a cemetery, about a war that happened here about, I'd say roughly, well, 16 to 20 years, something like that, and a bunch of people, unfortunately, got killed here. And the reason I'm doing this because, you know, all this woe is me attitude in the United States, I say professional victimization. Look at that sign right there. People are feel sorry for themselves because their ancestors from 200-300 years ago suffered, you know. And I would say 40-50 years I've suffered through prejudice, stuff like that. I do admit that. But this here happened recently, not too long ago. Yet the people here does not act like the people in the United States because they don't live in the past. And the problem is people, and I would say especially white liberals, live in the past. Like they need racism, they need prejudice to keep alive. They love racism and they love prejudice. And right here should be a prime example. And what I'm talking about here, this happened less than 20 years, and people in the United States are still crying over stuff that happened well over 100 years ago. It is an unfortunate part of American history. I would say it's America's greatest sin. But still, we got to put that stuff behind us like these people did and move on. And if we don't do that, then America will cease to exist. I thought I'd show it to you, this little mass grave. And this happened less than 20 years. And I can take many grave sites like this across the country. Later on in the summer, I'm going to try to take you to a concentration camp and really show you the meaning of true prejudice and racism. This right here basically was racism from one nationality to another, from one ethnic group to another ethnic group. Look at that right there. Read that sign. And I'm pretty sure you can interpret what those words say. And this, ladies and gentlemen, happened less than 20 years, unfortunately. So the ongoing legacy of slavery, racism, stuff like that needs to stop. If we don't put that behind us, then America will cease to exist. Don't let racism, prejudice, and the long legacy of slavery be your crutch, be your cornerstone. Don't let it hold your back. My ancestry, I have a Scottish and Irish ancestry. And we all should know that Irish and Scottish back in the day was treated bad, awfully. They faced a lot of prejudice as well. So my forefathers did as well. And I'm pretty sure if I trace my ancestors back long enough, I could probably find slavery in my ancestry somewhere. But I don't live in the past. Oh, by the way, my great-grandmother was half Indian, half Native American. Yet, we don't let that hold us down. Well, YouTube world, that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. One last look right here. A mass gravesite, something that happened less than 20 years ago. Well, God bless you, YouTube world. Have a good day, and bye-bye.